Aloha and welcome to Be Fit for Health. This is Bianca, your host. It's another great day to celebrate our health and wellness. And I'm really, really excited because, we've got the end of the year now is here and I can't believe we made it after all we've gone through this year. And, we've gone through our stresses, we've gone through our highs and lows. And, with all that being said, I think a lot of us put on a lot of weight. Based on being stuck at home and eating whatever we can just to kind of fulfill our emotional needs sometimes too. Emotional eating has probably gone rampant here in our country and in the world probably as well. So like you guys, I think I've added another few pounds to my waistline and I need to get rid of that guy. So what did I do? I went back and tapped into my old friend here, Sue Ward, and I asked her to come back on the show and I wanted you guys to get her expertise. She is, in fact, mastered in nutrition. She is a registered dietitian and I am not. So therefore, she will give you guys the exact correct information when it comes to how do you get that weight off your body and do it healthy and do it right so that it doesn't come back on. Just to give you guys a little bit of a background on Sue, she holds a bachelor's degree in exercise science from Southern Connecticut State University, and she's master's degree in human nutrition from the University of Bridgeport, and she is trained by the Institute of Functional Medicine. She also has 20 years experience in corporate wellness, 12 years in experience in clinical nutrition, and is an international speaker, educator, and has appeared on Dr. Oz show. And she is authored Cruising for Fitness or Finish Line, a run-walk program for everyday people. And after 5 years of training in non-exercisers for half and full marathons, Sue is currently educating all health coaches and personal trainers she can get her hands on, pretty much. That's including me. And recently launched her new website and a blog at SueWard.com, and will soon be offering her new online signature course this coming January, which we'll talk about, Yellow Brick Road to Extraordinary Health. So if you guys are definitely interested in learning more about your health and nutrition, this is the show, and we're really excited to have her on. Sue, you there?
Yes, I'm here. Thank you. What a nice intro.
Hey, man.
Aloha.
You deserve aloha. I know. So you and I have some common grounds. We know some similar people, and we met when I come down to Mexico, which you're currently residing in. But you've also worked in Southern California. So you're a personal trainer, too, like me, and you've taken it to the next level where you've gotten your master's degree in nutrition, which is so important when it comes to not just exercising the body, but you got to know what to feed it, right? I mean,
absolutely. Yeah.
That's how we live. We're not going to survive if we don't have the right nutrition in our body.
Goes hand in hand. Yeah. Nutrition and fitness definitely hand in hand. So, I love studying this stuff and I love sharing everything I learn, especially when I learn new stuff.
Oh, yeah. And you've shared with me some really important key elements to my particular health, because everybody knows that I've got fibromyalgia and I'm dealing with inflammation and things like that. And nutrition actually can either play a positive role in your body or a negative response in your body. And you've taught me a few things that I want you to share with the audience too, today's show, because some of the things that we think we're eating that are okay to get by because it's the holidays, may be doing some damage in the long term for the rest of our year, so to speak.
Yeah. And, one of the things I want to mention, as we go into the new year, we have to remember one of the most important things is we really need to take care of our immune system. So it matters what we eat, and we definitely need to be exercising as well. So the first thing is as we go into the new year, please try not to do any crazy diets. I mean, you really don't need to do that. All you really need to do is just clean up your diet a little bit, what you're eating, eat less. I mean, we go through the holidays and the big thing we're all eating over the holidays, right, is sugar.
Oh, yeah.
And sugar is one of the things that can totally crash your immune system. And maybe this is why a lot of people end up getting colds and flus, after the holiday season.
Right.
But, sugar, I got a great statistic that you're going to love. So if you drink 2 cans of soda, like Coca-Cola or something, or we don't even have to name a brand, any brand of just general soda has about 100 grams of sugar.
Ooh.
And that is actually, what that does is 30 minutes after you drink it, it reduces the efficiency of your white blood cells by about 42%, and that effect can last for up to 5 hours.
Wow.
I mean, I think of people just drinking soda and how that is probably the worst thing to do when you're really trying to keep your immune system strong too.
Oh yeah.
So
that's crazy.
Maybe for some people it may be as simple as, cutting out soda or cutting out sweet beverages or, reducing, the sugar that they're putting in their coffee or anything like that. But we really need to, I think decreasing sugar you're going to see the best results.
Well, doesn't it also confuse our natural digestive system, the pancreas? Doesn't it confuse the way that our body also communicates with the brain and what happens through the process of trying to break down the sugars? The liver also gets confused because it's got the saturation of carbohydrates in sugar form.
Yeah, and the thing that you just mentioned about the liver is key because too much sugar can actually cause fatty liver and create problems with the liver. And so we need to remember that our liver is responsible not just for detoxification, but for hormone production, for blood sugar, and for our metabolism. So if we want to keep everything going, we have to be thinking about that, as a primary thing. And yeah, you're right. Too much sugar is going to just overload the pancreas, overwork a lot of our organs.
And it doesn't cause your body to think that it's especially like a habitual thing, like when your liver is constantly storing things as a reserve for future use of energy, that eventually it starts storing more and more because it thinks because if you don't use it, it's going to be stored, right?
Right. But, the liver only stores so much carbohydrate. And so once it can't store anymore, like we have too much, then that's where you get a high blood sugar because there's no room for it. It's like a storage, but it's packed and there's no more room. So sugar just ends up floating in the blood, turning to body fat, or it can then cause the liver to create fat deposits in the liver. That's really going to impair the function.
So how much sugar are we allowed per day to have without it being excess?
Yeah, you don't have to go to zero, and some people get really crazy. And I'm not talking about the sugar in fruit. I'm talking about added sugar. So sugar that would be in food products or, sugar added to your tea or coffee. Women should have no more than about 25 grams a day.
Really?
For men, it should be about 35 or 36. So like if you have
hard.
1 teaspoon of honey, if you have 1 teaspoon of honey in your tea, that's only like 5 grams of sugar. It's really not that much, and it fits into that budget. So I call it a sugar budget. Just try not to go over it, and decide how you want to spend it. Where do you want to have that? Probably if you had a cookie, you would use up the whole sugar budget or a lot of it. Or if you're eating sugary cereals or even energy bars that are high in sugar. So I encourage people to look at the label, not where it says carbohydrates, but where it says sugars.
Right.
And if you could just kind of look at sugars and just see how many grams, and then put it, keep it under the 25 for the day.
Well, what about alcohol sugar? It says sugar and then it says alcohol sugar. What is that comparison? Like, does that make a difference? Obviously it's not alcohol. It's like, it's a different form of sugar.
Oh yeah. If you're talking about sugar alcohols, which are used to sweeten products.
Yeah.
Those are not actually sugar. But if people go overboard with those, they tend to upset the digestive system.
Yeah.
So they're okay, to use once in a while. I just wouldn't go overboard with that. I wouldn't look for, like gummy bears that are sweetened with that because and then eat the whole bag, because then you would definitely have some digestive issues.
Yeah.
But, so I think that is okay in moderation, or something like stevia is okay in moderation.
Right.
Things like that. But I prefer natural sugar, and I think it's better to just have less of it.
So,
and just, stay within that budget. If you're going to have it, just have less of it, and have a good quality, like a good quality honey or a good quality maple syrup or something like that.
I get confused in some sense that even as a health person, like, mangoes are high in sugar and so are certain fruits. So how do you, with the budget that you're talking about, mangoes are high in sugar. So are carrots and so are certain vegetables.
Right.
How do you gauge that?
Right. And those are natural sugars. And you have to remember when you're eating a whole mango, you're getting fiber and you're getting nutrients and you're getting water. And so it's combined. Now, if you were to make fresh mango juice, that might be a little bit high in sugar. Not for everybody. Some people can do it just fine. But the sugar that's in fruit is usually not a problem, especially if you're eating it as a whole fruit, because you've got the fiber, you've got a lot of antioxidants, and you've got a lot of vitamins and minerals and things that you really need. So I know a lot of people and a lot of diets steer people away from fruit, but I think that's a big mistake because then we're missing out on that great fiber and those great nutrients.
So I guess those people who are also on the certain types of diets like keto or paleo, and they kind of modify it, they trim down their amount of fruit intake. They trim down the certain types of vegetables they consume. Obviously, the starchy type of carbohydrates they stay away from. They stay away from rice and things like that. But all that, because eventually it turns into sugar, which your body needs to a certain extent. But there are certain things that they need to. This is why I'm asking you, because people don't understand the difference between eating a fruit, eating carbs that are like sweet potatoes or potatoes or rice, and then they don't know the difference between the regular sugar added. You know what I mean? And what the differences are. So if you can tell us as a nutritionist, if we're trying to stay trim and we have a budget of certain types of a level of sugar that we need to consume, the budget is coming from added sugar, correct?
Right. So that's the only thing we're going to count. So we're not going to count the sugar in fruit or the sugar in potatoes or rice or anything like that.
Okay.
Those are starches and they are carbohydrate and they're needed as part of a healthy diet, but we don't want to go overboard with them. But one of the important things that those starches do is they feed our gut bacteria. Okay. And so our gut bacteria are a real critical part of our immune system too. So if you eliminate all the starches and all the fruits, and even the fruits help feed the gut bacteria, then you're not feeding your gut bacteria. I mean, and if you want a healthy gut, you can't be eliminating all that. That's good stuff.
Sure.
You just have to be watching the quantity that you're having. I mean, obviously a half a cup of rice with a meal is not a problem. And in the context of a whole meal, if you had some fish with some rice and some vegetables, it's a great meal. I mean, I wouldn't cut anything out. I would just watch the overall quantity. Yeah,
with those people who only have one meal a day, what if they overdose on the rice? I mean, there are people that only eat one meal a day.
Yeah, I don't know if our body really likes that. I think sometimes you can get away with 2 meals a day. And sometimes that's really good for regulating blood sugar.
Sure.
But 1 meal a day might not be enough. And it would also depend on the time of day that you're eating it, because you certainly can't eat all of your daily calorie requirements in one sitting. I mean, that would almost be overeating for that, and that would be stressful to your whole digestive system.
So somebody once told me that they're going to consume 2,000 calories anyway, so might as well just consume it in that one meal. You know what I mean? So it doesn't, what's the difference?
Well, that's an overload on your pancreas and on all your digestive organs, on your stomach, on the way your body will process all of those nutrients. So it's probably not the best.
Not a good idea.
To do it in one meal. But yeah.
True. Oh my God.
Fun anyway.
No, I know. It's funny. Like, I'm just going to save my stomach for that big juicy steak with like a ton of butter and a ton of, who knows, right? But that doesn't work.
Yeah.
I know the ketogenic diet is like that, where people may consume just, they fast maybe 18 hours and they consume that one meal at night, and they have like a protein or something like that with some, sauerkraut or something like that. But it's not really conducive to everybody. Some people can't do a ketogenic diet just because their body may not be able to simulate it.
Yeah. And it's definitely not good for some people. If you have any gallbladder problems or liver problems, you do not want to do a ketogenic diet. Nothing like that. I have found like the thing that works best for my clients is just, moderation with most of the nutrients and just whole healthy foods, getting rid of all the processed stuff. And, just keeping it just real, because, food is social and it's meant to be enjoyed. And, it's horrible to always be on a diet. You know what I mean?
No, I know.
But,
Well, I hate the word diet anyway. I think a lifestyle choice or a lifestyle is much more conducive to being more productive with your goals. I mean, because then you'll achieve it. It won't become like a, moment thing. I'm going to eat this for 6 weeks and see what happens.
And another thing that I think a lot of people are getting wrong is a lot of people are wanting to do some intermittent fasting, which I think is great for our bodies. Personally, I just prefer a 12-hour overnight fast. It's really simple, and most people can do that without a problem.
Right.
But a lot of people are doing like the 14-hour fast, with a 10-hour eating window, and they're skipping breakfast. And the thing about that is that, when you skip breakfast, your metabolism is going to be really sluggish. It would probably be better for people to eat breakfast and a later lunch and skip dinner. That's more in line with our body's circadian rhythm. If you're waking up in the morning, and that could be better for some people. I mean, some people can do it the other way. So I think that if people want to experiment with that, just try some different things to see what works best for you. And you certainly don't have to do it every single day. You can do it 2 days a week.
And I know that for women, it's different than men too. That's why it's important to have a nutritionist be your guide when you're fasting, because you have hormones involved and you have other things involved, correct?
Right. Yeah, and to build hormones, we need the building blocks. So we need nutrients, and so we just have to be not doing anything really crazy. That's what I would encourage. That's my hope for the new year, is that nobody does anything super crazy, but just does things that are more smart. Eating whole foods, fruits, vegetables, whole grains, things that are good and pure and high quality, and just getting rid of all the processed stuff as much as possible, or at least reducing.
Well, if you have like a digestive dysfunction and you want to get your gut healthy so that your body is absorbing those nutrients, I mean, you can go on a diet all you want, but if your body isn't absorbing what you're consuming, how do you get your body back into alignment so that your gut is actually absorbing those good nutrients that you're talking about?
So what you want to do in that case is you want to eat some really good gut healing foods. So, for example, bone broth is really great. So to make soups that, with the natural broth from bones would be really good, or even fish bones and things like that. Use a really good stock for soups. That's like an awesome way to get your gut healthy. If you have aloe vera and you have an aloe vera drink that you can drink, as long as it's not too high in sugar, that would be a great way to kind of get the tissues in the digestive tract in much better shape. Other good gut healing foods, coconut is great. Okay. You must have plenty of that there on the islands, right?
Yeah, we have tons. They're growing in trees.
Yeah. Coconut meat is fantastic for the gut. And what I love about coconut meat, it's antiviral, it's antibacterial, and antifungal. So it's an amazing food. I would consider coconut a superfood. Again, we just have to watch the quantity because it is high in fat. But coconut meat would be great to add to, your breakfast cereal, or eating it just with fruit would be great.
So if you wanted to do a lot more coconut, though, can you use bile salts just in case if you have a gallbladder that might be not as functional optimally? Would that help?
You don't usually need it with coconut. That's the only fat that does not have any negative impact on the gallbladder.
Oh, nice.
Other fats do, but coconut, not so much. So coconut is a really good fat for people who do have gallbladder problems. That's the one fat that they can probably tolerate the best.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, that's a good one.
Yeah, I cook with coconut oil, so that's my go-to. So that's awesome.
Yeah. So you want to keep the gut healthy and probably reducing the amount of wheat that you're eating, because wheat can be pretty hard on the digestive system nowadays. The way they make wheat is a little bit different than the way it was processed in the past.
Yeah, does that include oatmeal as well?
No, oatmeal should be okay. Yeah, oatmeal doesn't contain gluten typically. It can be contaminated with gluten if it's processed in the same facility, but generally it's not a big deal. Oats are great for people. I think, it's a great morning breakfast. I think the best morning breakfast would be like oatmeal with some nuts, coconut, shredded coconut meat, some fruit. And what I like to do if I'm having an oatmeal breakfast is I like to mix a little protein powder in it just to boost the protein content.
Right.
That tends to really set up your metabolism for the day.
You know
and
what?
then you do better.
Oh, you know what I was going to suggest too? If someone has issues with eliminating, they can also add prunes to it, and they can also add applesauce to it, and that could even make it even more tastier because it's sweeter.
Yes, that would be a great addition. Yeah, those are great suggestions.
I have my moments,
Absolutely.
Sue. You trained me well.
I know. You're great. You have so much good information to share with people. I'm so excited for what you're doing.
Oh, thank you. I feel the same for you. That's why you're here, because you need to confirm what I'm thinking, because I could be wrong. God bless you.
Yeah, you got great info. So that's just an easy way to take care of. And here's a simple tip. The easiest way to improve your digestion is to make sure that you're chewing your food thoroughly and completely.
Yeah.
When you chew your food, it sends a signal to your stomach to start pumping out hydrochloric acid and other digestive enzymes. But if we skip that and we kind of eat in a hurry, we really miss that critical step. So chewing is the easiest way to improve your digestion.
Well, how do you know if you don't have enough of that acid in your stomach?
If you don't have enough stomach acid, you would feel very bloated after a meal, and it would feel like the food is just kind of sitting in your stomach, especially if you ate a meal and it wasn't that big of a meal and you just felt really bloated. That can be a sign, or even falling asleep after a meal can be a sign that your digestive enzymes are not, produced powerfully by your body.
Could you take a supplement with your meal, like the hyaluronic acid?
You can, or you can take, it's probably safer for most people just to take a plant-based digestive enzyme. And those are fine, and it just helps break down the food. So you would just take that with a meal at the beginning of your meal, and it just kind of helps break it down. But really, nothing's going to break it down as good as your chewing will do. So that's a really important tip that people tend to forget.
Yeah, it's crucial to make it as small as possible so your body can actually absorb it faster. I know that there are certain nutrients that get absorbed in the small, well, most of them get absorbed in the small intestine, but then your magnesium gets absorbed mostly in your colon, correct?
Well, magnesium also gets absorbed in the small intestine, and the colon and large intestine will absorb anything that wasn't absorbed in the small intestine.
Got it.
It will take care of the rest of that. Yeah, and then, you always have to make sure you have enough fiber in your diet, so you are eliminating regularly, and, and you will feel good if you're having at least one bowel movement a day. Preferably two would be ideal, but...
So how do we do this during the holidays? Because everyone's going to be eating sugar. They're going to be overeating. They're not going to be paying attention to the crucial elements you're talking about to get our bacteriums healthy so that we can, not get sick.
I think a good tip through the holidays and just, into the early part of the new year, make sure that you're drinking enough water so that, you're staying full and you're staying really well hydrated. And, when you're eating things like cookies or pies, you're going to do that. Just look at your portions and just try to do really small portions, or have it as a dessert after a good meal, actually have a nice meal. People just tend to overeat a lot on the holidays. And one of the things I do is, let's say that at a holiday dinner, I always go for the things that I don't normally have. Like, if it's something that I don't normally have, that's what I will go for, and I'll just skip over everything else, because you can have that anytime, right? So, and I don't know, who knows? The holidays are going to be a little weird this year. We're probably be gatherings, and that's okay too. So, I think portion control always works for people. It'll work really well, and make sure that you stay active during this time. Get out there and at least do some walking, or some biking or anything. Just keep your body moving during this time.
Well, Sue, hold on for 1 second. And what I'd like to do is take a really quick, short break. And when we come back, I want to kind of talk about that along with some other things that I had in mind that I'll share with you. And once we get back, we'll get right into it. So hold on 1 second. And we're back. We're back with Sue Ward, who has got her master's degree in nutrition. She is a public speaker. She goes out and helps a lot of us coaches and trainers to do our job better when it comes to getting our clients healthy. She's been around for a very long time when it comes to the health industry, and we're very lucky to have her on the show. We're talking about, the holidays and how we're trying to stay trim, and how sugar can be poisonous to our system in so many levels. And I know that when it comes to trying to understand what to eat and how to eat it and when to eat it, so that our body actually does what it's supposed to do, because we are a fine oiled machine. If we give the body what it needs, it's supposed to do what it's supposed to do well, but we do poison it from time to time, not knowing that we're doing that. So we need to educate you guys, and we have Sue here for that. So Sue, let's continue. Let's go on to what we were talking about before. So you were just saying, you got to move as well as, consume certain types of food to keep us healthy. So, exercising at home, there's a lot of Zoom things on right now. A lot of people are doing Zoom training.
Yeah. I mean, trainers have gotten so creative with their home workouts. I'm so impressed. I mean, I think that's the good thing that has come out of this. People really, got creative. And I think that I've done some of the workouts online. They're wonderful. You can do it right there in your house, and you don't have to go anywhere, or in your yard, even better if you can. And as we were chatting about it before, I just love to dance. I love to just turn on 80s music and dance. I mean, that's a great workout. It's fun.
So no one's recording you on this. Not too bad. We can't blackmail you. Put you on social media and say, hey,
right,
check her out. No, that's great. No, that's true. Whatever gets you moving, right? Get your heart rate up.
Yeah, and I wanted to mention something, because earlier we were talking about, promoting a good, healthy gut bacteria. And a lot of people don't know that physical activity actually does that. People don't associate it with it, but it can actually promote better diversity in your healthy bacteria in your gut just by doing regular exercise. So I love that side benefit, So definitely whatever you can do to stay active is going to be really important. And also physical activity is important for your immune system.
Yeah, I was going to say, immune system is huge. And also endorphins. Anything that's going to make you happy is going to boost your immune system too, because your stress levels, your cortisol goes sleepy when you're happy,
Right. That's true. I agree. Other things, we really wanted to, again, I wanted to mention we have to take care of our immune system with all this COVID going on. Make sure you're getting plenty of sunshine, because vitamin D is one of the most powerful things for your immune system. And not overexposure, of course, but, 10 to 15 minutes of sun exposure daily. And you're going to make some good vitamin D, especially down there in Hawaii.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you have to get out there in nature. Nature does ground you, and it does help feed your energy level, because we are energy beings. We have our nervous systems vibrate throughout our body, whether we know it or not. I mean, it's communicating constantly, whether we want it to or not. Our cells are constantly talking to each other. Our nerves are talking to each other. So that's the way our body functions. So nature is a part of that. So I believe in going out there and doing what you can, if your state permits it, that is, if you're not in complete shutdown, that is. But yeah, there's ways of getting around that too.
Right. A couple of other things you can do. We were talking about coconut earlier. That's also great for your immune system. Bone broth, great for the immune system and the gut, both. But also the big thing with this virus is zinc as a mineral. And so it's important people are getting enough zinc. And zinc is really high in oysters. And I don't know how many people are eating oysters, but it's also high in, in things like nuts and seeds. So that would be a great source of zinc.
Right.
And one of the things I want to mention that's probably pretty important is that alcohol consumption depletes your zinc. So we want to be careful with alcohol consumption, especially as this COVID's going around. I was wondering to myself, is this why we're having a surge again? I don't know.
I don't know, but if people are stuck at home, they got nothing else to do. They're drinking. They're like drinking, having sugar. Plus, alcohol turns into sugar too, does it not?
Yeah, it does. It does. And it stresses out the liver. So, but zinc is really critical for this particular virus and for all colds and flus. Zinc is a critical part of your immune system. So you just want to make sure that you have adequate zinc. And as you probably have already heard, that when you don't have adequate zinc, you kind of lose your sense of smell and taste.
Right. And there's a lot of people who may not realize how important the minerals are in your system. Vitamins are great, but if you don't have minerals, it doesn't really quite do what it's supposed to do. So it's kind of important. But I do know that what you're saying with vitamin D, that when you're deficient in vitamin D, you're more susceptible to getting sick. So you need to up that vitamin D level. So zinc, vitamin D, and vitamin C to a high level as well is another form of treatment.
Yeah, vitamin C is really critical. It's well known, very well studied. Vitamin C really powers the immune system. So definitely foods high in vitamin C, obviously your citrus fruits, but peppers are really high in vitamin C too.
Right, so like the bell peppers, right? Like the green bell peppers and colors. Yeah, it's amazing how people, all you have to do is just, like you said, if you eat real food, not processed food, you'll get some of those nutrients and you have to take the supplements, but
that'll do it. Yeah. And another thing, make sure that you're getting good sleep, because sleep is really important to the immune system, and our bodies regenerate at night. So we really need to have, healthy, refreshing sleep every day. So if you're having trouble sleeping, you might want to work on that. Some extra magnesium might help with that. That tends to help with sleep. If you have some magnesium right before bed.
What's a good magnesium, Sue? Because there are some magnesiums out there. There's like 5 or 6 different types. And I know that when you take too much magnesium, it can make you go to the bathroom as well, just because it just flushes you out. But can you give us some ideas?
Yeah, there's a lot of different ones. I like either a combination product, a product that has a little bit of each form. Then you don't get too much of one form. But I do like magnesium glycinate. That's a nice one. And but if someone is constipated and they really want that effect, then you want magnesium citrate.
Yeah,
better for that. But there are products out there that are a combination, and I think the combo products are pretty good.
There's one that I can say that I tried and I use. One is from USANA. The other one is from Dr. Sinatra, who has that combination of the magnesiums that are very interesting to me. So I take both. So I'll take the calcium, magnesium, vitamin D from USANA, and I'll take the combination of Dr. Sinatra's form. Who I got to interview recently was Dr. Delaney, who is also one of the doctors that is close friends with Dr. Sinatra. So I'm on the verge of trying to get Dr. Sinatra on the show so that I can talk to him about his combination of nutrients. Yeah, it'll be great, wouldn't it?
Yeah, he's great. I met him before. He's great to talk to. Hopefully you can get him. He's a very well-respected integrative cardiologist. So he knows nutrition, too. He's pretty good at that. So it's really impressive to see a doctor who is really knowledgeable about nutrition.
Oh, yeah. I mean, well, these are the doctors that have become integrative, who are doing more than just their Western medicine, practice. They're realizing that the body as a whole, there's other elements to it that contributes to whatever diseases that are caused. And everything comes down to your gut and your nutrition.
Yeah.
So,
it does, doesn't it?
Yeah. I mean, I'm contemplating going back to school to get my degree in nutrition now, because I think that's more important than anything else.
Yeah. We can do so much. We have so much control over our own health.
Yeah.
A lot of people don't even realize how much control you have, but you do. You just have to make, really good choices. So that's what I would wish for everybody for the new year is, eat a lot of healthy whole foods, make good choices, go on some sort of realistic, plan if you're going to do any kind of a plan, rather than some kind of crazy short-term thing. Try to make it long-term, so you don't have to do this every year.
Yeah, just like how you plan your vacation, you can plan your food. I mean, you can say the first 4 weeks, I'm going to eat like this. And then you put it together. Breakfast is at this time, lunch is at this time, whatever. And then you can, like a program design that I would create for someone in training, personal trainer. I would have them do certain exercise for a certain amount of time, reevaluate, take certain things out, put certain things in. Would that make sense for a nutritional program?
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of it comes down to just habits.
Right.
Just changing a daily habit, drinking a glass of water first thing when you get up in the morning, or, whatever, doing a 10-minute breathing exercise every day, or just starting to change habits overall, and substituting, maybe substituting lattes and, some of the elaborate coffees for, maybe have that once a week and then have tea on the other days or something, Just starting to change some habits and just doing some small changes actually can sometimes make really big results.
Yeah, and have those as your reward, because the pumpkin lattes and those peppermint lattes are filled with sugar and filled with so much stuff. It's crazy.
They are, but I do think some of those things are meant to be enjoyed. So,
yeah, of course,
as long as you can do it in moderation and not overdo it, cut out, as much as, if you're doing that every day, it's a problem,
Is it a problem if I'm having dark chocolate every day? Come on.
I think if you were having one little square, every evening, I don't think that's so bad, especially if it's a low sugar and it's a pure dark chocolate.
Yes, antioxidant, man. It's good stuff.
It is. I know. And you know what? It also feeds gut bacteria.
It does. My goodness, if I had a choice between sauerkraut and dark chocolate, I'm going to eat dark chocolate.
Right?
Both feed the bacteria, but I'd rather have the dark chocolate.
Yeah. Oh, gosh.
That's crazy. I know. So I know that there is a lot of ways of us putting things together, and we could try to do it on our own. The problem is, we're not, as average person in society, we have the gist of what we can do, but our desires and our, like you said, our habits in the past decade of whatever we've been eating is still there. So there's someone like you out there, and I know that you have programs that you've set up so that it's easier for people to follow. And I know it's very affordable, and you can go through that with each client that gets in touch with you. But tell me a little bit about your Yellow Brick Road Extraordinary Health program that you have set up for January, because I know it's the new year. So let's get started with that.
I had that program. It ran in September, and I'm running it again in January, starting on January 17th. And I've renamed it Extraordinary Health Academy. So it's really a course designed for either trainers, health coaches, or anybody who's interested in health. Because, sometimes there's the person in the family who's trying to get everybody healthy, just a real health influencer, I call them. And it's a program, it's an online program, and we go week by week, and we learn basic nutrition. We learn all about the diets and the nutrition challenges that are out there. There's a whole lesson on intermittent fasting. So there's a lot of things going on. We have a physical activity lesson and what you can do and creative ideas. But what I like to do is I like to give templates so that you can create your own plan. So one of the things we do during this program is we actually go through and create your own plan. And you create it because you know your body the best.
Right.
And with my guidance, you create your own plan, and it's a realistic plan, and we go through it. And and it's wonderful. So it's six modules, but we're going to do it over 8 weeks because we're going to have some weeks where we implement things.
Right.
And each week we have a live Zoom call.
Okay.
And so I do some training with the group on, how to do this and how to set this up. And one thing that I'm doing this time that I didn't do last time is I'm having a VIP package. So if someone wants to work a little more with me one-on-one, they can purchase the VIP package. I only have so many of those available,
right?
Because they go quick. But that way, you can really set up yourself or set it up for your clients. And then the big thing for me is I just want people to be confident that they're doing it the right way, that they're not risking their health with some crazy plan, that they're thinking of everything. We also have a segment on healthy home environment and why that's important. And then we finish up with, tips for managing stress and tips for changing habits permanently. So it's pretty comprehensive. It was great. And I just, as we went through it in September as a group, I had some people from Australia, some people from Canada. We had a really great group of students. And they gave me some great feedback. So based on their feedback, I made a ton of improvements and enhancements. And so I think it's going to be really exciting. I can't wait to get started. I will be giving a free webinar.
Okay.
With some information about how you can customize your plan.
Okay.
So if you go to my website at sue-ward.com, and if you sign up for my mailing list, you'll get the announcement for that webinar. It's going to be, late December, early January. You can get into it. And that's a free webinar. And so definitely jump on that and learn some ways that you could create your own plan for the new year.
That's amazing. I mean, to have that kind of customized guidance is huge, because I know a lot of people have the intention to do it. They just don't know. And if it's affordable, I mean, this is something that people can, invest in their health. They can continue on their own because they've just gotten education, from you, which is really important.
And the thing that I do offer anyone who enrolls in my course, I offer them lifetime access to the course.
Oh.
They can go back and revisit it at another time, or if they want a refresher, or as I update it, they will be able to log on and, get those updates.
That's crazy. That's awesome. That's invaluable. Because I know for most people, they like to have their hands held and they want to be able to, get answers to some of the questions they may have. So, just like us, when we go through school, we learn things, and then there are some things that we forget. It's good to go back and kind of get refreshed on some of the things we've learned again, because you're like, oh yeah, this is something that we did learn, and we can put this together for our diets or our fitness. Right. I know it's challenging.
Yeah, so people do have the opportunity to ask questions on those live Zoom calls. Those calls are recorded. So if you can't make the time, you could jump on those calls and revisit them. So yeah, it's a great learning. It's a great learning thing, and I'm just really passionate about getting the right information out there so that people don't put their health at risk by doing something short term or trendy.
How do you update yourself, Sue? Like, how do you get your now information? Like, because everything changes. Just like in the medical world, there's always these updates that occur. Like, where do you go to get your information to keep yourself fresh and knowing what's happening with nutrition today?
I do scan a lot of the research. And the other thing I do is if something comes out, some popular new trend, I love to look at both sides of it. I love to go into the research and look at both sides and then go, oh, hey, wait a minute. And then I love to put myself through some of these things to say, hey, how does this actually feel? And, no, this doesn't feel good, or this is not going to be good for this organ or whatever. So I like to do that. I like to scan the research a lot, and I'm always doing that. And, I go to conferences. Now they're virtual. It's really cool because same thing, you can go to conferences and get the recordings and study. So during the pandemic, I did a lot of that. I went to an environmental health symposium, did a lot of studying there. And then, you connect with some of those colleagues in the field. And so that's always great. So I try to always keep on top of everything. But like I said, I look at always the other side, not just the side that's being presented.
Right. Because you want to know how the people are going to respond to a certain new technology.
Exactly.
You don't know how bodies may respond to a certain type of food schedule or whatever it may be. Because I know people talk about food. Remember at one point there was food combination, like you can't eat. Right. You have to eat your salad first before you can have your carbohydrates, and then you can have your meat because that's the hardest thing to digest. So,
right.
Crazy stuff.
Funny,
like that.
I just had a client yesterday who's still following that after 40 years, but it's working for her, so she does that. It's like, okay, it's working for her.
And they say you can't drink water or liquid. You have to drink it 20 minutes prior to, or you have to drink it 20 minutes after you've eaten so that your body, the acids can break it down. I mean, these things are, I get it, but who eats like that?
You know what? If you want to do something like long term, it just has to fit into the real world. It has to be realistic.
Right.
It has to be flexible enough so that when you travel or when you're on vacation or everything works. You're not, you don't have to start and stop things. It just kind of filters into your lifestyle, as a permanent part of your lifestyle.
Yeah, it's crazy. So any besides the sugar composition in the way that our body absorbs it and the way it responds to it, is there anything else besides the sugar factor? I know that seems to be the biggest thing, but I know alcohol is a big factor in the holidays. What else can we be careful about?
The other thing that's a pretty big factor today with the popularity of ketogenic diets is people aren't really paying attention to how much fat they're eating.
Oh.
And even if they're eating healthy fats like avocados or coconut meat, you still have a limit on how much you can take in a day because it's high calorie. So if we just snack on, even healthy fats, nuts and seeds and things like that, but we overdo that, that's going to put weight on us, and so, just to be careful of that as well. We definitely need fat in our diet. We need the healthy fats, but they can be easily overdone.
Yeah, I know what people think, and I know how they think because, as a trainer, I've had for 30 years, I've had clients tell me this. If they're not eating carbohydrates, they can get away with eating the fat because, therefore, they're not putting sugar into their system. But high fat puts stress on the gallbladder, puts stress on the liver, and your body has to process that. That's a lot of stress.
Yeah, and there's some research showing that high fat can also promote insulin resistance and blood sugar problems. So, we kind of need everything in balance,
Yeah, I think this is very important information to share because, people always I think the society understands sugar more than they understand fat. And fat, it is important, but there's a ratio in place for a reason, right? What is the percentage of fat that we're supposed to be consuming in the big spectrum of our meal?
Well, if you want to talk about like the daily percentage of your calories that should come from fat, it should be somewhere between, around 30%, maybe for some people as high as 40%. But right now, people are at 50 or 60%.
Right.
And I think that's a little bit too much for most people.
Yeah.
But the only way you're ever going to know that is if you track your food for a couple of weeks. So that's something that we are going to do in my program, so that everybody gets a new awareness of exactly what it is that you're eating and what those carbohydrate, fat, and protein percentages come out to.
Do you recommend any of these apps that are out there that people can start? Because there's so many apps that are out there.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
It's interesting that you mentioned that. I have never been a fan of tracking, but I did track. In the middle of the pandemic, I did track for myself, and I fell in love with MyFitnessPal.
Okay.
And that's an app, and I didn't use the free app. I paid the $9.99 per month because I wanted to access the features of the macronutrients and the recipes. I fell in love with that app, and I lost 35 pounds. So I wrote an article on my blog about it. So it was such an eye-opening experience. So we have to become more aware of what it means, like what the diet actually looks like on paper, because when we talk about losing body fat and fat loss, it's still a mathematical equation. Even though there's other factors at play, and it's still a mathematical equation. So it kind of worked, and I really love the app. It's so easy to use.
Yeah.
Initially, it just takes a little bit of learning, but once you learn it, I can put in a whole day's food in about 3 minutes flat. It just remembers the foods that you eat.
Right.
It has an extensive database, so everybody shares. If I add a food to the database, it adds it to everybody has access to it.
Yeah, I find it takes the questioning out of your process of eating. Because I did that when I was doing my ketogenic diet back in the day, and I had to put in the proteins, the carbohydrates, because I didn't know how many grams of carbs, let's see, a cup of broccoli was. I didn't want to do I didn't want to measure my food. I just wanted to know the gist of it. So I kind of did my part of it, and it helped me to really regulate what I was really eating, because a lot of times you guess me, and you guess me wrong.
Yeah. Yeah. And if we keep guessing, we're going to be wrong, and it's going to get skewed as we do that more and more. So it's nice to do every so often to just track just for awareness. But I love that MyFitnessPal app is really good. I really like it.
And it's easy to use, and that's the important thing.
Really easy.
Because our older generation doesn't know how to use a lot of these things, so they don't want to deal with it. So I hope that it's user-friendly for them.
That's me.
You're not that old. Don't even go there.
and I got through it. So, it's wonderful.
Yeah, I think when you're able to measure what you're consuming and able to see it on paper, that's why with me, when I have my program designed online and I do nutritional consulting, because like I said, I'm not a registered dietitian, so I can't tell people exactly what to do, but I can guide them. I always have them write a food journal, just to kind of for them to start with, for them to take a look at what they're eating. And when things get more complicated, like if they have like a condition or something like that, that's when I send them off to someone like you, because it's important for them to get the right types of information when it comes to what they should eat. So if you're diabetic, you really need more than just MyFitnessPal. You need a dietitian to kind of help you consume the right foods.
Right. But that dietitian can really put you on the right path and really help you track and, So, yeah, absolutely. So, and everybody's different. So, some people aren't into tracking, but I just think it's great to do for like an awareness activity. Do it for a couple of weeks and just see if it opens your eyes. It probably will.
Yeah, I think it's important. And then when it comes to, other aspects of your holiday, New Year's resolution, a combination, with all of this COVID immune system building, the topics that we talked about on the show, what does it come down to? Let's bring it down to the basics, right? You want us to eat breakfast, we should move throughout the days at some point.
Right.
Do you have an issue with people eating late at night? If they go to bed at 1 a.m. or 12 o'clock at night, is there a problem with someone eating, let's say, at 8 o'clock at night for dinner?
No, as long as it's about 3 hours before you go to bed.
And that's because why?
Well, your digestive system has to break all that down.
Okay.
You don't want to go to sleep on a full stomach. That probably wouldn't feel good. Yeah,
and at the same time too, you don't want to because you're not moving for 8 hours. So that energy is being stored when you're not physically active for the next day.
Correct.
So how does that affect your sleep if you have a fuller stomach? Does that cause you to have bad quality of sleep? And are you not able to get into deep sleep or to recovery sleep when you have food in your stomach?
Well, some people can actually get heartburn if they eat too close to bedtime. So it's more of a discomfort, from just being so full, Probably a really good idea is if people are eating a little bit later, just take a quick walk after a meal.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Take a 10-minute walk. Stay in a vertical position and let, gravity do its job and let everything kind of go down and begin the process of digestion.
Would it affect your serotonin levels? I mean, because I know that your gut is connected to the brain, and that's why I was asking about the sleep. Because I know that if there's something, interfere with that.
Yeah, it could. Yeah, anytime you have, gut problems, it can interfere with brain chemicals, for sure.
Yeah, and that's why I think sugar is not a good thing either, because if people don't understand it by now, the last time you were here, you and I talked about gut health and brain health and its connection to the way that we work. Some of the neurotransmitters are connected to the brain function as well. So it's important to know that.
Right.
So any advice on that? I mean, how to keep our body from messing that up from the nutrition that we consume?
I mean, really, it just comes down to, again, whole foods and taking care of gut health and reducing a lot of the processed food. That's like the easiest way to put it in a nutshell.
Okay. Yeah, I know. I agree with you. I know these questions are going to be in people's minds that are listening, and they're going to want to know, like, how can I make sure that my gut is working so that my brain is not in fog or is not, not having a chance to recover while I sleep, things like that. So this is important, right? The common denominator here is eating whole foods, cutting down your sugars and all that good stuff. So any last bit of tips that you may have for all of us since the new year's coming, and also guide us to your website again for this new program that you have starting up January?
Yeah. So again, just, keep it real, keep things very realistic for the new year. I would love for people to at least attend the webinar that I'm having, because that might give them a little bit more guidance as they go into the new year. So again, go to sue-ward.com, join my mailing list. You can do that from any page on the website. And then I will keep you informed of when I'm offering 3 different times for the webinars too. So I'm sure that it will fit into your schedule.
Yeah, because you have people all over the world tuning into this, so you're going to have to try to get that schedule right.
Couple different time options, but those webinars will be in early January.
So I'm going to say that, when it comes to your nutritional support and nutritional health, there isn't anyone going to be better than you, Sue. I mean, the amount of experience that you have in this field is just beyond anyone that I know here on this island. It's not to say that we don't have good nutritionists here or registered dietitian. It's that you've had such a well-rounded experience in this field of being in public and being a speaker and being a coach to professionals like myself. There is knowledge there that you possess that maybe a regular registered dietitian wouldn't, because you've had the experience of a trainer, you had the experience of disease, you had the experience of all these things with different types of people. It makes you very, very valuable when it comes to understanding how to get our bodies healthy. And especially during this pandemic with COVID, you just explained that vitamin D, zinc, vitamin C, sleep, all these things. I mean, you're reiterating what is doctors that are out there, immunologists are telling us. This is important stuff. So, I appreciate that. I appreciate you taking the time out of your busy schedule and your time to educate all of us. So I will be calling on you at some point in the year coming up, because we don't know what the future holds.
Good.
I don't know if we're going to be rocking and rolling back to normal, or if we're going to be still stuck in this mode of trying to avoid this COVID thing. But thank you, my dear. I appreciate you educating us.
You're very welcome.
I'll try to support you and get people knowing where to go with you. I'm going to post this on my YouTube, guys, and that way, if they need to get a hold of you somehow, they have a way of finding you.
Okay, great. Thank you so much, Bianca.
And a Merry Christmas to you and Happy Holidays. Yes, absolutely. Sending you my love, my dear.
Okay, take care.
Take care of you. Okay, everybody. So this was a great show when it comes to your nutrition, understanding what we need to know. I want you guys to understand that this is not just about exercising or, eating one meal a day or twice a meal. You got to understand your body, got to know what works for you. I always tell people do the 80-20 rule when it comes to changing your diet. Take off maybe 20% of what you're consuming that you enjoy eating, and then slowly but surely bring it up to 50%, and then make it a lifestyle change so that you're consuming the things that your body needs to stay healthy. So remember, make sure you take your vitamin C, your zinc, your vitamin D. Make sure you're getting your sleep, just to keep your immune system up, and make sure you're not consuming things too late. Like Sue, I'm just trying to summarize this. Try not to eat too late. And try to consume enough calories for you to have energy, but don't overly, do it. I know it's the holidays. You want to have fun. Give yourself your rewards. Do your diet maybe throughout the week, but then the weekend you can have your little tidbit, whatever you want to get. So I'm sending you all my love, and hope you guys are having a great rest of your week after this show. And I wish you all the best. Stay healthy, stay safe, and I wish you all aloha.